Why do you keep calling me Calvin?
That is your name, isn't it? Calvin Klein? It's written all over your underwear.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Fredo, you're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again. Ever.
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on the Al Travis Show.
Love having her on the program. She is Megan Olson. We call it News in Review. She takes the top 4 or 5 stories that are X'd. Is that a verb now? Is it?
I think it is. We've successfully moved away from tweeting to Xing.
I like tweeting better because it sounded like a verb. I don't know if Xing is a verb, but X, tweeted, retweeted, shared. Those that the rest of us in Minnesota are talking about, and we bust them down. This probably won't be on your list until next week, but it'll be late, so I'd like to share it if we could. Yesterday, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you start seeing pictures of Senator John Hoffman leaving the ICU. And cool story. Every senator, everybody on my list, it got shared a million times. I suppose friends of his, so maybe this isn't all Minnesota. But great story. He's out of ICU, going to a rehab place. Good for him. He is supposed to be on the show next Monday. We'll see. He said not this week, but it sure looks like we can make next week. I'm not going to hold him to it. We'll see how he feels. Your thoughts on that? I thought the photo was interesting. Did you see it?
I did. Yeah, he's up and he's standing. I mean, he was shot 9 times just a little over 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And he's still got a long road ahead, like you said. I mean, rehab facility, but still has to undergo multiple surgeries for the wounds that, you know, those 9 gunshots. That's crazy to be standing after 3.5 weeks. So
you know what's crazy for me, Megan, is you picture that photo of him. He's smiling, which is nice. Got the John Hoffman gait to him. I get it. And he's got a suitcase there. And I think to myself, what kind of third-rate place is this? I had like an arm thing done a year ago, and the nurse had to wheel me to the exit to get out in a wheelchair in case I were to fall or something. And I'm like, the guy's been shot 9 times. Put him in a wheelchair. Why is he walking and carrying his own luggage, for God's sake?
maybe he was walking to the wheelchair. I think the wheelchair is standard hospital policy, but I think he got from the bed to the wheelchair all on his own.
You know, we all have had those nurses. God love nurses, but the hardcore nurse that makes you get up like 10 minutes after you had surgery. And I was imagining that nurse ratchet there. Get your suitcase too, John. We're getting you out of here today. You know, God love him. I can't wait to have him on the program, but that is good news as far as I'm concerned.
It's funny you mentioned that too. I mean, one of our top news stories this week is Governor Walz gave a very extensive interview with the Star Tribune, covered a multitude of topics, but he did mention how he went to go visit Senator Hoffman, and he was just joking around, lighthearted, cracking jokes left and right, like just in very good spirits, which is the best thing that you can imagine after such a tragedy. And maybe, you know, that's one of the ways that he's coping. But I mean, what you hear from folks at the Capitol is he's just, you know, a good stand-up all-around guy. He's kind of a jokester, and he hasn't lost any of that flair, which is really heartening to see.
That isn't John coping. That's John. John just makes jokes all the time. He's an amazing guy. I'm very happy for him. And that should be the news story of the week this week, just the fact that he's up and around. And we got to check out why they made him walk to the next room. Other aftermaths, if you will, of the shootings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we had the GOP and the DFL chairs appeared for their first joint interview together after the aftermath of the shooting, both kind of unified around this idea of we need to tone down the political rhetoric. Obviously, you have the DFL saying, well, it's hard when it's stemming from the top down with Donald Trump. Yeah. The GOP is just saying, you know, quite frankly, there's just no room for that here. Like, we can't politicize this, et cetera, et cetera. But seeing them come together after something of this magnitude was a decent interview. And it's nice to see Minnesotans coming together after all that we've been through.
How long do you think it lasts? And no, I'm serious, because now we get to this week, and has it been enough time? You got to start talking about things. And the truth is, Walz, it sounds like he wants to run for governor again, but even that or running for the presidency, we have to talk about the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill makes every Democrat want to cry. The big, beautiful bill makes every real conservative want to cry. There's something to this big, beautiful bill. But how is it going to affect Minnesota? Mm-hmm. Will Walz ask for a special session to handle the terrible things the big, beautiful bill is giving? Two things. I think he desperately wants to. If he runs for governor, he can say, oh, I'm going to save you this, this, and this, and separate himself. If he's running for president, it's the perfect way to say, he cost Minnesotans and I saved you. I think he wants it. But now we have to get political. Mm-hmm. We have the open Hortman seat, which is going to have a special election. I mean, I presume he's holding off the longer the better, just let everybody take a breath. But you have to have that. Senator Mitchell. She's got her trial starting here. Yeah. So it would be very hard for the governor to call a special session when the numbers have now flipped for his team in the near term, right, until all that gets done. So then you put it off. Let's hold off a little while. We'll do it. Well, you get to October, November. They get back in January. Why are you doing a special session for two months? It would be a political stunt. He's in a bit of a box.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he's in a little bit of a box, too. I mean, the bulk of the Star Tribune interview he gave was talking about gun laws and potential gun restrictions. And he made it very clear that he, respects and wants to protect everyone's right to the Second Amendment to have their own firearm. But he also said, if we beef up security at the Capitol, they can just leave, their weapons in the car. They don't need to bring it in. And we're kind of getting mixed signals from both sides. You have a couple on either side that are saying, no, we're not going to move forward with this. Then you have some saying we absolutely need to. It's for our safety, our mental well-being when we're working, etc. Walz is kind of treading the line of saying, I'm rightfully concerned, but I don't really know, what can we do? And he talked about, making the Capitol into kind of a fortress. So you discourage the public from, or from disasters like this happening. But then at the same time, you're discouraging the public from entering the people's house.
Am I missing
we're
something?
We're getting a little bit going head to head here.
I'm not a smart man. You tell me what I'm missing here. This was not a crazed lunatic going to the Capitol trying to shoot people at the Capitol where they have state troopers and that sort of thing. This is a lunatic going to their homes. Maybe I'm missing the idea that we're going to beef up security at the Capitol. Is it just we're just grabbing what we can to? Whatever we do at the Capitol, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that why is that the argument? The argument should be what do we do to keep our senators and representatives safe at home? Mm-hmm.
Well, and Walz touched on that too, that it is illegal to impersonate an officer, and he brought it to the federal level and talking about ICE and the raids and people in unmarked cars and regular people clothing and talking about how, well, that's already illegal. What more can we do? And how the red flag laws and all the stuff that Democrats have passed, I think in 2023, to try and prevent a tragedy like this didn't work in this case. Vance Bolter obtained these weapons legally. He wasn't flagged on any background check. I don't think he even had like a parking ticket or any past experiences that would lead him to that. It's just it's the mental health crisis, but also at the same time, our lawmakers deserve to be safe. We want to make sure that they're able to get their job done. I mean, they're passing legislation and passing budgets that benefits all Minnesotans. You want to make sure they feel safe and supported when they do that. Where is the balance? And that's exactly what Walz was talking about, is we just have to strike a balance. And now more than ever, because we've got a tied House and one seat majority in the Senate.
Yeah, especially like say with what's going on currently until we figure out how those numbers work out. I can't see him calling a special session on this. I just can't. I got to go to break. When we come back, we'll talk more of the top news stories of the week with Megan's News and Review.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We've got our Megan's News and Review, and just a quick question for you, Megan, and I don't presume you'll have the answer for me. So since the shooting, 3 weeks, I think is what you said, do you feel weird that we haven't gotten more information than we probably had in the first 3-4 days? And what I mean by that is, suppose we had a list, okay, the list, have we seen it, quote unquote, with the real photo of it, not a copy, or, my list of the names that I saw on it, a manifesto. It seemed we got plenty of information for the first week. Did we get it all and there's just nothing new? I find that strange.
Yeah, I think because, it's an active ongoing trial and it's also happening on the federal level. He's being prosecuted by, I think, the FBI. So because it's, to that caliber, everything's a little bit tight-lipped. I think once we move into the trial stage, things will start coming out more. But right now, I think the lack of information shows that there's no continuing or ongoing threat, and they want to keep everything tight-lipped until more comes out in court. But
that's fair enough.
Agree. Yeah, it seemed like we got a lot right away, and then
it was the same thing when
Trump was shot last summer too. So
yeah, it was a flood for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we got him. Nothing more for you. Okay, fair enough. What else you got for us today?
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it before. And I've been mentioning this Walz interview with the Star Tribune. That's kind of the news stories of the week. So much was covered, including him kind of still mulling this bid for governor in 2026. He gave his strongest signal yet, kind of saying that, any challenger to him would face the best fundraiser that ever sat in this office. So he's very confident going into this that he's got the money and he's got, the time and the dedication to get this third term done. But things that are clouding that is, the big, beautiful bill that you mentioned too.
Yeah. Okay, but a couple of things on that, Megan. If you look at least outstate, not where you people live, but this outstate, almost everyone says, we don't want you to run again. Democrats and Republicans, they all agree 3 terms is just too long. Can you pay to fix that? Can you pay enough money to say, oh, but don't worry about the $600 or $700 billion that's been robbed blind from you for the. He's got a lot of stuff, and do you think money can fix it? Him and Kamala spent $1.5 billion in whatever it was 6 months. And didn't win. Is there enough money in the world to buy
Minnesota? I'm not sure he needs to. That's the real thing. If you've seen this urban rural divide take place for the last, decade, I don't think he needs to. I think the metro, the population there far outweighs greater Minnesota. I don't think he really has much to worry about there.
So let's just say you're living in the Twin Cities. You just overlook $600 billion just being frauded, just given away. You just say, okay, it's part of the cost of doing business. You look away.
I mean, most people are in the dark. We are hyper aware. We are in tune to what's happening. The average American isn't. The average American doesn't really see what's going on. They might have caught wind, obviously, about these shootings. I mean, that's big national, I would argue, probably nonpartisan news because everyone was uniting around it. Folks aren't really dialed into anything else. They're worried about, inflation, getting gas in their vehicle, and the rising cost of food, putting food on the table. I mean, the everyday common issues. And Trump Ross is a pretty good story for explaining, how he's.
Let's say all that is true. Look at the boaters right now. How many boaters knew that all of a sudden they had to have all this tax on them to go get a new license just to boat on the lakes? Mm-hmm. This one came out of nowhere. We're covering this stuff on a daily. I didn't see this coming, and boom, there it is. I just think there are more dings and more groups that I think it's going to be tougher. I don't know that money alone will pay for it.
Yeah.
And I get it. He knows every rich guy.
Yeah, I would argue, any state lawmaker who wanted to run for governor against Walz would kind of have those same dings. I mean, they're the ones responsible for the sweeping legislation of 2023 if they're a Democrat. And everything that's happened up until then. So unless kind of a new outsider comes in, and even then, I don't think they stand a chance against Walz. He gained so much experience being elevated to the presidential level. He's got the money. It's very clear he's going to run, and now it's
he gets the nod. Yeah,
to have a strong candidate too. So,
and does it behoove him to keep holding this off? He gets the nod. He knows that if he goes and wants to run for governor, he's got the nod. He can do that. So the longer he holds off, it sure seems less people jumping in the governor's race on the other side, right? Because they don't know if he's in or not. The shootings change things. I get this, but we were waiting to the end of session to have this long string of Republican great candidates that were going to come on, and they're going to all jump in there. Don't you worry, we've got a deep bench. Yeah, there's a deep bench. Don't worry, Al. And I get it, done shootings. I get it. But if you're serious about being the governor, beating a governor who will have the most money you've ever seen in the race, he'll tell you himself, you got to get in.
Well, and I mean, you said it. It's a delicate balance right now of figuring out when is the best time to kind of shift the media focus from the tragedy. Like, have we spent enough time, mulling that over, mourning, and then now do we move into 2026 just yet? And then also you mentioned the special session. We have a potential for a $750 million shortfall in our budget because of the big beautiful bill and the cuts to Medicaid. So that's lessening the reimbursements that Minnesota's getting from the federal government. The special session might need to happen to try and figure out, well, where does that money now come from? How do we adjust things in order to fill that void? When does that happen? When does the gubernatorial announcement happen? Is one before the other? I don't know. I don't know which one's better. Is it, Walz saying, I'm calling a special session, I'm going to fix this because I hate it? Or is it, we're going to fix it and then I'm going to try and kind of comb over that news with my
you open up a can of worms you can't live with. Okay, Medicaid, we are going to be $400 million short, whatever that number is. First thing Republicans are going to say, great, stop giving Minnesota care to illegal immigrants, and you just got $250 million of it back. It opens that can of worms again. Well, what do you want? And I don't think they want to fight that again. Yeah. I just don't. It's just too much to handle. I mean,
the other kind of small story that is in there as well is Medicaid is cutting 88,000 people in 11 counties from UCare. This announcement was made after Big Beautiful Bill passed, but they didn't cite that in their reasoning. They're just saying it's too expensive. We can't cover it. It's not going to be seniors. It's not going to be seniors or folks with disabilities. Yeah. It's just 88,000, Medicaid recipients through UCare. So that's kind of clouding the judgment here too of, what's to come with healthcare.
We will find out, and we'll keep talking about it here. Megan, appreciate you coming on and talking about the news stories with us.
Thanks for having me on. We will be back next week as we talk about the top Minnesota news stories of the week on the Al Travis Show with Megan's News and Review.